Hey guys, Sassy the Clown here, and I'm doing a bit of a project. My son at the moment is obsessed with diggers and earth moving equipment, loves excavators, all that sort of stuff, skid steers. So he's got this table, the other side has like pictures of, I don't know, grass and train tracks and things. We've now turned it over just to be a plain blue. I'm thinking about turning this into like a construction site, just a made up thing. Just for something fun for him. And I thought if I'm gonna do it, why not make a little bit of a documentation? So, what I'm gonna do, the plan is, create a foam base with, you know, some sort of hill sort of parts, maybe a bit of a path that goes up to the top level, car parks and just areas to put, maybe I'll get some pebbles at the end. I don't wanna bring actual sand inside, so I'm gonna do it up to look like sand, and you'll have like a bit of a construction site. So, yeah, first step, let's go get some foam. I'm at a local refrigerator washing machine place, and I'm scrubbing through their bin because they have heaps of foam here, which will be perfect for building up that base. I have asked, I'm not just scrubbing through the bin, and yeah, this should be a good starting point. Okay, so I've taken the bases out. This is what I was saying, so it's got pictures on the back. I took them outside, I had some I'm no builder, so I don't know what sort of board this is, but it's heavy, whatever it is. So I lined them up, traced around, got my manliness on and cut those out using a power saw. And now, with any luck, haven't tried this yet, so let's see. This should, let's be honest, if it doesn't fit, it's not gonna be in the video. Oh, like a glove. Beautifully. One last thing before I get the foam going. I've just got a Sharpie, and I should really turn this around, but I've just sort of sketched out a bit of an idea. So this is going to raise up. This will be raised up a little bit higher in the corner there. This will be your sort of top driving area, bottom driving area, sort of your spot to, you know, pick up rocks or whatever. And then I'm going to make like a car park here. Ignore those lines. That'll be top level. I'm gonna have this dug out and then put in like a retaining wall as such, so have actual wood in there for a bit of a parking bay. And that should be fun for him. Cool, let's get building. Okay, there we go. That's all the foam cut how I want it. Like I said before, it doesn't look much at this stage, but once it's all painted up, it should look sweet. All this is gonna be gone. It's time for me to get out the old hot glue gun and glue all these pieces down. Okay, so that is it all glued down. It's all sculpted, glued down, and ready for its next stage. What we've got to do now is get a PVA coat and just cover the whole thing, just to sort of seal it off. And then I'm going to do a PVA coat and cover that with sand. And then once it's dry or whatever, pour it all off, so then that'll give us a nice texture over the whole thing to give it a real sort of an earthy feel. So it's going to be sweet. I'll show you what it looks like at this stage. Here it is. I've slid it back into its base now. It's all glued down, like I just said, and it's looking wicked. I was going to show my son and do it with him tomorrow, but I'm actually thinking now, let's keep this whole thing a secret from him. Build it up, and then I'm going to film his expression when he sees it. Oh man, he's going to love it, I reckon. So we're just doing the PVA glue stage, doing a bit of a cover. A little bit of a crafty tip for you. I tend to mix some acrylic paint in with my PVA. That way you can see where you've been, especially working with foam. It gets a bit tricky to see if you're actually covering the whole thing. So I'll just do the rest of that, and that'll be that step. Okay, so that's the whole thing covered in a PVA base. Look at that, it's already looking better. The reason I do the PVA is because if I want to undercoat it, foam and aerosol cans just do not mix at all. So at least having this PVA base gives it like an outer layer, and it seems to be fine with it. So that's the main reason. Also, it's good for sticking down the texture sand, which, in saying that, I'm actually going to go and do now. I'm going to eliminate a step, so I'm going to add some sand right now. That way I can do sort of 2 layers of sand without having to wait for it to dry 3 times. Well, I ended up taking it a lot of steps further sprinkled some sand on, but then mixed a bit of the glue in as well. It's a bit hard to see, but that way it trying to eliminate some of these joins. So like down here, if you look, it's almost hard. They're a bit obvious, but it's almost hard to see where the foam ends and the board begins. There's a good spot. Once that dries, that should hopefully taper off nicely. Okay, so that is all dry. I think it was a great move adding the sand in that step. Normally I'd do the full flat PVA glue, then I would do a separate sand layer with the glue. But this has worked great, and for its purpose, it's perfect. So I was going to prime it, but there was one more step that I've got to do. I remembered down here, this is obviously on its side, but down here is the where the retaining wall is going to be for the car park. So I'm going to do that now using some pop sticks and hot glue, and I'll show you what that looks like when it's done. Alright, so there we go, retaining wall's done, hot glued on, it's just pop sticks cut into some bits, and all ready for the big prime. Let's prime it up. It's time to paint this thing. So the primer's done. It's patchy, but I didn't have a lot of primer left. I'm trying to do this whole thing on the cheap. It's really just to give it that one extra sort of sealer to hold the sand and pieces on there. When you rub it now, all the sand should stay on. It's got a great texture. It should come up nice in a dry brush. Let's get some paint on there. So it turns out I'd pretty well run out of paint. So I've come down to Bunnings because it's the only thing here that's open. And I just need a black and a dark brown. I use the cheapest paints possible. So these ones are couple of bucks each. They are small tubes, but they'll do for now. Cool. First stage of painting done, really. So I've just gone with a dark brown and filled in all the crevices. That way now I can paint the lighter colours, and we'll have no issue of other colours showing through. This is how it's looking after colour number 2 on the paint job. So I've done sort of a top layer of the orange, so you can see how much it's changing just from the camera moving around it, but you get a bit of an idea. It's starting to get a bit of depth, and yeah, that's where we're at. So all the paint's done now. I went in with like a lighter brown, so you originally saw the dark brown, and then you saw the sort of orangey red color, and then I went in with like a light sandy brown. Dry brushed a lot of sort of tracks as if the cars had been driving around, and then went on the top of the rocks and created rocks. I'll switch over and show you what it looks like now. So as you can see, I've kind of put in wear paths essentially, so your trucks are going to, drive up the hill here, and like a little drop-off point up there, and gone in and painted the retaining walls, made them look a bit beat up as if people have sort of scratched into them and things. I'm stoked with it. And there we go. Now let's slide it in, and then it's time for the big reveal to the boy. Can't wait. All right, out and about again. I figured I didn't want to bring sand inside, but he still needs something to play with so he can actually dig some things, move them around. So I've come to my local parents' house, and they've got the perfect little stones things, but small stones, easy to clean up, and I don't think they'll notice. Alright, it's almost reveal time. Keep delaying this. So yeah, here's these stones that I was talking about, and I'm thinking, just chuck piles of them wherever, just so it gives him something to actually play with the digger, and then he can move them around where he wants. Excellent. Okay, let's show him. You like it? I made it for you. It's a construction site. What can you see? Yeah? Yeah, that's it. Now drive him up to the top. Come and dump him up.
Oh, there's a tractor there. There's a tractor there. There's a tractor.
Yeah.
Oh, hi.
There we go. That's a wrap, guys. Thanks for watching. I hope you've enjoyed. It was really just my own little journey of building this thing, and I thought I'd share it. So thanks for watching. I'll catch you all later.